In New Jersey, Congressman Jeff Van Drew. He serves on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, first of all, would you like to weigh in on the Durham report?
Oh, yeah. Let me just say this. I mean, this from beginning to end, Adam Schiff speaks about how these are lies or untruths, or he should know, because just about everything that's come out of his mouth, quite frankly, over the last couple of years has not been truthful. And this is just an example of it, starting with, the Russian collusion to begin with. Now we have the FBI, who have whistleblowers that are telling the truth. And of course, the Durham report, which is telling the truth. The Democrats are just basically doing what bullies do, just saying they don't believe it. It's not true. They don't believe the Durham report. They don't believe the FBI, the folks that have come out and have been honest and decent enough to tell the truth, the watchdogs. They just don't believe anything except their own mantra. So what they believe in is what they've put out, which has been lies. And yes, there are congressmen in Congress that have made their careers out of these lies, Russian collusion. There are newspaper writers. There is the media. There are folks at every level. But you know what? This is also the bottom line. Two last things here. One, this is worse than Watergate. Mark my word. This is worse than Watergate. This is serious stuff. And we've really got to dig in, and we need a lot more reforms. And secondly, a really big issue here is, we're supposed to be protected by the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice. Actually, the American people need to be protected from them.
All right. Well, listen, of course, Mr. Schiff is not here. Director Wray is not here, so they cannot rebut anything you just said.
I wish
so,
they were.
Because of that, you know what? They're invited right now.
Schiff
Director Wray, come on with me. And speak to Mr. Schiff for me and say, come on with Arthel, and we'll have the discussion. All right?
We will next week, because he's going to be in committee with me.
All right. Okay, well, tell him I want to talk to him. Let me move on, though, to the debt ceiling. Listen, you've been following this bouncing ball, but let me lay out some of the points here, I think, where we stand now. The White House is saying they want to limit defense spending, meaning keeping it where it is. And here's the compromise. The White House is saying also go ahead and freeze spending on a host of domestic programs. Now, the GOP, your side, is saying we want to increase military spending, veterans care, and border security. But your side is saying that you must slash the spending of a host of domestic programs. So I want to ask you, Congressman, which domestic programs do you think are too costly and can afford to be cut? And by how much should the defense budget be increased?
Well, we've got to look, and we can go through a process of give and take with the defense budget, but we do need a strong defense budget, and it should be increased. We need a strong America, number one. Number two, we do not want to touch Medicare. We do not want to touch Social Security, and will not. We refuse. That's a line in the sand. But, for example, Medicaid, to help people that are sick, that need help, obviously that's what it's there for. But for people up to the age of 55 who are single, healthy, no children, they should either work, or we've been so, I think, decent in the way the bill was drawn up, you can even volunteer. But you should be doing something. This is America. Everybody works. And there's an example where we can save money. We can save money on all of these IRS workers.
If I can just jump in for a second, I think we have a weird... Okay, I heard you. We have a little bit of a delay. They told me in advance that we had trouble with your signal, but we're going to make this work. So I think you just said, Congressman, that people up to the age of 55 should be working, period. So if you don't work, then you don't have access to the public health system. Is that what you said? And then you said also, there's no need. Yeah, go ahead, please.
They should be working unless they're sick or disabled or have an issue of that nature. But if they're healthy and they're single, yes, everybody else is working. They should be too.
And what did you say about those IRS agents? You're saying that they should not be hired? I mean, or
we don't need them.
I know of anybody. The IRS is really slow, but it's so slow to getting back to you. If you're waiting for your tax returns, your refunds, whatever, whatever question you have for the IRS is just not going to get answered at this point. I don't know. What do you say?
Well, I think because many of them aren't even in the offices and they're working from home and they're not working as much as they should be, quite frankly, number one. Number two, for years, we did just fine. And all of a sudden now we need almost 100,000 more IRS workers. That's just extreme, and we don't. And number three, the reason they want those IRS workers is because any transaction greater than $600, they want to go after people and know why they have a transaction of that nature, especially in cash. That's not their business. This is America. We're free. And that's an area we can save money. There's a lot of COVID money hanging out there that hasn't been used. Absolutely, we can use that money for good purpose and just shouldn't be sitting there or shouldn't be wasted. There's money that we spend abroad on all kinds of issues, and I'm not making this up. You can check it out. We actually have LGBTQ poetry corners and LGBTQ studies that are being done in nations abroad that we're paying for.
President Biden says tax revenues have to be considered. Where do you stand on preserving the Trump tax cuts that Democrats say mainly benefited the wealthy and giant corporations and would add $3.5 trillion to the debt?
Well, I've got to tell you, you know what? We had the best economy under Trump that we've just ever seen in many, many, many years. And the bottom line is you don't help the economy. You don't create economic activity by taxing people more. People are tired. They're tired of their tolls, their fees, their taxes, everything going up. You have to run a more efficient government. We've spent so much and borrowed so much. If we just pare down a little bit, be a little bit more careful, and tighten our belts a little bit, we can keep our tax cuts, we can be fair to people, and at the same time, we can move forward and obviously create a responsible, that's the word, debt ceiling, responsible.
Oh, okay. Yes or no? Will there be a U.S. debt default? Yes or no, Congressman?
No. Not if I have anything to do with it.
Okay, great. Y'all work it out, sir. New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
I appreciate it.
Eric?
Orthel, you know, he's accused of murdering those 4 University of Idaho students, remember? Well, he's due back in court tomorrow. Brian Koberger, set to be arraigned in those shocking killings that happened at that off-campus house last November. We will have the latest on the murder case against him as Fox News Live continues.
If you have diabetes, it's important to have confidence in the nutritional drink you choose.